So I want to make a quick apology over the previous video because I forgot that Melvin Gordon is now on the Denver Broncos with Philip Lindsay and Drew Luck that can also scramble. Mistakes happen to everybody. I can blame it on myself. So we have 3 primetime games with our Monday night doubleheader always in the season opener, and we had Sunday night football that was the Dallas Cowboys against the Los Angeles Rams that finally had their stadium built over the last, let's say 3, 4 years since they've moved to LA, back in I think 2017. And now here they are, winning a season opener into the slowest, weakest primetime games. The best out of all of this was technically the Giants versus Steelers that ended up 26-16. The Titans win 16-14 in a slow-paced first half. And bonused up, the only thing that I was actually enamored with was when they reversed the call on, I think his name is, I'm going to get it wrong. I think it is Jeremiah Achimachu. No, I think it's Michael Ujamudia. That was near a pick, but they reversed the call, I think, over lack of sportsmanship. AJ Boye had, I think, a pass deflection, and it was just incomplete pass. They were overthrowing it over minute reads. The only quarterback that played a bit better was technically Drew Lock. 20 completions, only 43 for like Tannehill, 23 and 33. But Drew Lock had poor reads over some outside reads over to Noah Fant, and sometimes he could barely get it deep over to Jerry Jeudy, and he was the second leading receiver. It was only 56 yards. It ended off going terribly, and when I mean terribly, I'm talking about the kicking team. Brandon McManus only went for 2 field goals. Guess who's the free agent from the Tennessee Titans? Just guess. It is, let alone future Hall of Famer, and was nearly in the top 3, I think, for most accurate kicks. Now he's all the way in the rank 3 now because he went 1 of 4. He started 0-3 to start off the first half over his field, and like the third quarter, over missing 46-yarder. He missed a 47-yarder. Then he missed a 43-yarder. A decent. Oh my God! He only made a 23-yarder. And it had to be when they needed it the most. We also had the freaking Cowboys and Rams that it got decent. It was just poor passes, and Amari Cooper was just leading up the field. There was only 1 receiving touchdown off Ezekiel Elliott down the inside. He also came up a carrying touchdown with a clutch one down the inside in the red zone. Dak Prescott needs to work on his deep throws, and it's like the same thing, except he gets his completions. And we made complaints about him last time with the way he's been trying to be more efficient throwing deep balls, but boy. All I'm expecting is probably a mediocre performance for tonight's game against the Browns and the Bengals for Thursday Night Football. Jared Goff went 20 of 31. Malcolm Brown and Cam Akers, because they don't have Todd Gurley anymore. 70 combined 118 yards. Played pretty decent. Over the inside, Goff scrambled for like a few yards. He got picked off by, I think, Xavier Woods down a poor read. Another came off a forced fumble. Robert Woods went off. Cooper Kupp was just he just felt like a minute position. And this is like with Malcolm Brown and Van Jefferson. I just felt like they could have been used more, but it was decent enough that everybody was at least above 25 yards and they had a specific role. It just came off poor play calling. Oh boy. But yeah, Leonard Floyd came with a major sack and got 2 for 2. Some of them really trying to shut down the pass deflections. I think there was a big. It was either from the defense from the Broncos game with a major pass deflection on Drew Lock. But yeah, Tavon Diggs. We have Jalen Smith going for a 5 of 5. Anthony Brown. People are already exaggerating the notion that this is already going to be the top front seven in football because Aldon Smith has returned since 2016. I mean, I think 2015, and then over his drug problems, he went 6 of 5. Decent. He even got a sack. Darren Thompson, and no, it was Awuzie who got the pick on Jared Goff. At least these were somewhat competitive games where the defense played a majority of a factor, because I just felt like these guys were playing mediocrely well. The better QB performance out of most of these primetime games went to Ben Roethlisberger. That's the oldest. I mean, Daniel Jones, he started with a Darius Slayton touchdown down deep later in the game. They were rushing the ball, even though the pass blocking was mediocre. I swear to God, I think Daniel Jones got sacked like 4 times, 5 times. He got sacked by Vince Williams, Michael Hilton. I think there was a reverse call on. There wasn't a call on a basic handling play when it was Joe Hayden called for handling. Uh, I think it was Evan Griffin. But what a return for Ben Roethlisberger. He went 21 of 32, 229 yards with 2 touchdown passes. Went to Juju Smith-Schuster, going crazy. Juju went really nice with a 69. That's why I said nice. 2 touchdown catches. And then went over to James Washington down the middle. There was also one, James Conner, that went 6 carries on. Ben Snell Jr. played way better than James Conner. And you expect a bit more of one of the breakout halfbacks for the past few years. After, the Le'Veon Bell problems. He went 113. He was the second leading rusher in the primetime game this week 1, with 116 coming from Derrick Henry. But the leading rusher is still, I think, Christian McCaffrey. And he went over 19 carries. He went 5 of 19. It felt like they were playing pedestrian in the second half. They were barely playing their reads together. I swear Daniel Jones threw 2 bad picks. Even though he was playing a bit smart, there was a failed field goal with Graham Gano. Even though he won a decent 1-for-1. They failed in the 2-point convert when they were closing in on the red zone. Jabril Peppers had I think there was a decent highlight with Jabril Peppers trying to juke everybody out of existence. Darius Slayton played really great, catching 2 nice touchdowns, one for a deep 50-something yarder. Saquon Barkley was just carrying off the team. Sterling Shepard didn't feel like he was doing much. And Evan Griffin only went 2 receptions in 9 yards. You expect a bit more of purely young talent now in display now. There's barely anybody averaging at least or near the age of 30. Deion Lewis, Kaden Smith, Saquon Barkley that's in his 3rd season. Of course, Evan Griffin and Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton that I'm seeing a lot of potential from. And the second half for of Darius Slayton in the season last year, he's shown a bit of upside. Daniel Jones needs to work on some of his long passes, on some of the short passes, and just the O-line just gotta do something. I mean, there was an excuse with the gelling of the Jets O line because some of them were just new faces and some of them just had just came back from injury. But this was just atrocious. You know, some of these guys just cannot pass block, and coming from a guy who played the tackle position forcefully, but still, I've seen better blocking coming from 18-year-olds than this stuff. But yeah, 26-16. And that seems like the lucky number because the Broncos lost several games by 16. I don't know how that happens. And this is without Von Miller. So this is already crazy enough. There's plenty of other players injury prone or just recently suffering from injury, and that has to come up a lack of a preseason for some of these players to gel, or else we could have got more an exciting game, especially off well, primarily just the Cowboys and Jets. I mean the Cowboys and Rams. No one was expecting much from the Broncos except a bit of an upside over Drew Lock's performance and a more improved running game. And the Giants were obviously going to lose, depended if they even returned back Mason Rudolph to start. I mean, actually, that would be a more 50-50 game. But with Ben Roethlisberger back in the helm, and it looks like he didn't change his form, it was just a one-off performance. Great game for Ben Roethlisberger, opening up a 1-1 that makes the Giants, I think, their third place over the Eagles in the NFC East, over the Cowboys and Reds, the football team that won their games. Next to the Steelers, that's the most disappointing team at the Browns. And you gotta excuse the notion if Baker Mayfield is gonna play well this afternoon against the Browns. I mean the Bengals, dependent on if his passing can be better. The O line can actually produce against a decent front seven out of the Bengals, even though you can only name two guys, and their secondary could somewhat be pretty aggressive. And just seeing AJ Green, what are the Browns going to do? That's what I'm expecting. That's my predictions. If the Bengals can upset the Browns, in 2 weeks in, we already had a predictable notion that the Ravens were going to blow out the Browns. It was a given. You just expect the Browns to at least show some kind of improvements off of what they did last season. And now we have a game that many Browns fans I've seen online freaking doubting. And there's already statistic enough that you guys are like nearly a decade into not winning a game opener. And now here you are having doubts to face off against a first round quarterback, a quarterback that didn't even have to play a preseason, already beat the Chargers, but Tyrod Taylor being their quarterback. And I don't know, man. I mean, this was a fun week one. I mean, a fun week one to just see football back in action over all the political crap, all the pandemic. It's just good to have one of my favorite sports back. So that's week one. I think I went through all the stuff except the Eagles choking 17 points again. They choked 17 points against the Panthers back back at like near middle of the season against like in like 2018, and that was when they still had Carson Wentz, and it's like it's telling you how much Doug Peterson is really the good handle that you have as a long-term coach, and the running game really playing a factor. And already, I think Chase is already showing his stride. So that's it. I already missed out reviewing the game back when I was doing all the takes on most of the other games in week one. That's my fault. I'm forgetful and lazy, but can't excuse that. But if you like the content, please I want to get something other than wrestling in my mindset. I want to do other topics, and I like football. So please tell me how Ben Roethlisberger is a better rusher than than James Conner. It took him 3 carries. He ran like a major first down. But other than that, thanks for watching. Hope you like the content. That's it coming for me.